right here. Don't you have little dots?
There's nothing there.
Oh,
Unless,
No, that's not.
I have little dots right here. Well, I did. Now they're, yeah, right. I'm sorry, right up here. Put those little dots. Right
oh,
up there.
okay.
There you go. And you can go here
Yeah,
and
okay.
go plus, 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 till your
Oh,
heart's
cool.
content.
Okay. Learn something new every day. Ooh, yeah. Even 125 is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 150 is too much.
Yeah, because then you got to keep pulling the page back and forth.
I still swear there's some stuff I just don't get. Unless I set up
Oh, that does feel good. I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna post a link back up on, board docs. Currently my computer died and I did send that, did I not, Julie? Come on. There it is, okay.
Was anybody watching before?
Paul was,
Only like one on the YouTube?
yeah. Network's really slow. Okay, so we should be good. The link's back out there.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Are we ready to begin again?
Link on board docs. All right. I am, as far as I'm concerned, I'm ready.
Okay. We're going to move on to number 7, superintendent report. Mr. Moratori?
Yes, thank you. Just a quick update, fourth 9 weeks, last quarter of school. Actually, we are 2 weeks into the final 9 weeks, believe it or not. And I just want to update the board on high school, prom, graduation, scholarship night. That's obviously an immediate priority. High school team has been working diligently to finalize and trying to capture as many of those traditions as we have historically. And the goal is to provide some level of normalcy, if you will, and again, to embrace the Huron tradition. So keeping in mind that we still have to adhere to the Ohio Department of Health, the recent health orders, which still talks about physical distancing, pods of 10, 6 feet apart. That's the new protocol, face coverings, hand washing and sanitizing, and running off of a 25% capacity of a facility or an arena. So prom, I'm going to order of dates here. So it's 10, Mr. Lamb, please, Mr. Antonelli, please jump in and correct me. But tentatively, we are scheduled for Saturday, May 22nd. Mr. Lamb is working with the senior class advisors and the senior class advisors and the senior class students, correct, Mr. Lamb?
The seniors from the student council.
From student council, correct. And a couple of different options they're looking at would be, first of all, the high school parking lot with utilizing the cafeteria and a large tent that they would pursue. Second would be the Lyman Harbor facility on First Street in Sandusky. And finally, I think Mr. Lamb has an in with the Good Time One boat. So that's still a possibility.
I think he does.
So still working to, you're meeting with the kids Friday? Mr.
They met with Darius today after school.
They met with the senior class advisor today. So this is going to be student driven, not administrator driven. It's going to be limited to seniors only with a guest, and that's to manage the capacity. Let those seniors have their opportunity to shine, correct? Anything else, Mr. Lamb, Mr. Antonelli and Prom? Perfect. Scholarship Awards Night, tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. Possible location, Mr. Lamb and the high school counselor, they're meeting with the chapel. I believe that's Friday morning to discuss rental options. What that would look like. Again, 60 scholarship honorees from that class at 2 guests apiece. There's 180 potential guests that evening. That's why McCormick would be off the books because of the 25% capacity. We want to make sure moms and dads have the opportunity. So the scholarship recipients will be allowed 2 guests, and we're going to eliminate the guest presenters. Again, so we can manage the crowd size. The high school counselor and the administrative team, they will read descriptions of each scholarship. So again, those kids can engage in that opportunity. And anything else, Mr. Lamb? Good
So
deal?
Cedar Point's just not big enough, or Cedar
The
Point's-
Firelands College where we
I don't
always
think they're
went.
letting
They're
us.
not letting you.
Oh, really?
Oh, so they're not
Okay.
even open for.
Correct,
Oh.
correct. So I thought they looked at Messenberg's, but the lighting in there, I believe, is not conducive and even size-wise. So the chapel, Friday, you'll
We
hopefully
have a
have good
meeting with
news
the chapel on Friday.
good news for us. Graduation, May 28th at 7 p.m. outside at the stadium. A little bit different, though. We're going to utilize the home and the visitor side to manage the crowd. So that way we won't have to limit the number of guests. If a kid wants to bring 4 or 5 family members, great, have at it. The way it's going to be separated will be families with the last name A through K will be on the home side. Families L through Z will be on the visitor side.
Tentatively, just, we're gonna look at the numbers on that, but just to give you an idea of how we would split it.
Split the alpha that way, which makes perfect sense. Students are going to face east instead of just the home side, so they'll be visible from both sides when they're seated. Now, again, outside's really the only way to go, so we're going to have a 1 or 2 hour delay schedule if weather is an issue. So it could be bump back an hour, it could maybe move up an hour possibly. So we're going to watch the weather, and May 29th at 11 a.m. is the rain date in the event. We can't squeeze it in on the 28th. The gym is not an option, again, due to the reduced capacity of 25%. So, Mr. Lamb, did I cover everything with that?
I have a question about graduation, and this may not be feasible, but could the stage not be set for the A through K students to get their diploma so they're facing their parents and
So
then
what they would do
reset
is,
the
way we
stage?
would
They
Do the
can-
stage right in the middle of the 50-yard line, right on the H.
Uh-huh.
And then if you were A through K, you would walk from the visitors towards the home. So the parents sitting on the home side would see their kid walk across the stage.
And then the reverse for the
And
other.
then the reverse?
Okay.
Okay,
The other way. So
okay,
we
okay,
do it that
Yep,
way.
that
You
works.
see them on the stage,
Mhm.
correct?
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
that makes
We
sense.
went out there today and looked at it, and it seems like, and we'll probably have them process in from the west end zone, both sides, so.
Where the flag
Instead of
is.
coming out from underneath the stadium.
The stadium,
We
yeah.
would gather outside, we wouldn't clump 130 kids inside the locker room.
Right,
Mhm.
Keep everybody outside. Administrative team and board members would probably still come out from underneath the stadium and just walk right onto the 50-yard line. So those details are still getting ironed out as we look at how do we can safely and most, deal with some dignity in class.
that's great.
Appreciate the creative thinking, you guys. Great job, thank you. Those kids are going to appreciate it.
Mhm.
They've earned it, so. Again, I think that's important right now, an immediate priority as we quickly approach the end of the 21 school year.
I have a question. So we're in the fourth quarter. Have you seen the numbers change with the virtual academy? Have parents enrolled their children in this last fourth quarter, or have those numbers stayed the same?
I'm going to defer to the
Okay.
experts here.
Okay.
Dr. McDonald, you-
I haven't looked, but I know like in the quarter switch, there was kids going back in, but I don't have an
what
exact.
kind of numbers did you see? Mark, I know you had an influx.
Right, at the start of the year, we had 51 students from Woodlands enrolled in HVA. Currently, we're like 16.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
When we did the remote option at the semester break, We had 16 students enrolled in remote. Currently, we're down to 4.
Wow.
Good.
Okay.
So
We have 0 remote kids, and we have 22 HBA,
22, you said?
22, we
22?
have 11 per grade. A couple of them came back, but then their attendance, they wanted to go back to HBA, so.
Okay.
0 remote, 22 HBA, and it looks like we're holding steady. We're gonna have one come back this week, but then earlier this morning, the mom said, now we're just gonna.
Finish out the year.
Okay.
And at the high school, we've seen about a dozen kids come back to us. every
Okay.
quarter.
Great.
Good.
Great. Thank you.
I think Mr. Crucible's numbers are going to mirror Mr. Dowdy's, because I know we're bringing staff back because we're bringing kids back from HVA, so.
Okay.
so no,
Great.
That's a good question. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. We'll move on to number 8, the treasurer's report. Mr. Dreyer?
I apologize, I'm not going to be quite as brief as Mr. Muratori, but I will do my best. First of all, donations you see for the month. We have a big donation to scholarship fund and some donations for Woodlands, one book, and a couple other things. And the wireless microphone in front of our President Pro Tem is a donation from Bill Murray. And it'll be a nice addition to speaker as well as a microphone and have one less wire to deal with at this point. Our monthly reports, let me just hit on, again, I'll go quickly, but I think I'd be remiss not to hit on a few things. Our cash balance at the end of March was 7.5 million. That's a significant improvement. We've got our tax payments, obviously. And this, if you will, is our high point. And that's why I always want to emphasize that, because people see that cash balance and they go, great, but now we're going to pull that off down until September or October when we get our next tax payment. Okay, so this is kind of our high point of the year at this point. And I am still in the process of pulling all our investments. Our investments mature, particularly with UBS and Fifth Third. I'm still keeping them in CDs, but I'm shortening them so that they're available. I'm anticipating when we start running out of cash. I'm really tightening that time frame, which is killing our earnings, but we got to have the cash just in case, right? So, and there is a method to the madness in terms of stepping these things. So, and then our expenditures, our revenue, we're at almost 90% for the year, about where we expect. If you look at my numbers, the real estate taxes is 99%. There's probably a little bit of delinquencies. That's not, I'm not too upset by that accuracy. I'd like to be 100%, but that's about where we'll end up. And public utilities came in a little bit higher than we expected, so we got some appreciation there. Everything else, unrestricted state aid, knows it's 46%. They're going, oh, that's way off. But what will happen is when we get our catastrophic costs and stuff, that's a big number. And Holly, and by the way, and shout out to Holly and Amy Schaefer. They do a great job on our excess costs and catastrophic costs. They get every dollar back they can for our special needs kids. Doesn't cover all the costs, but they do a really good job with that. The big thing to see is interest. We made about $8,500, and I thought at the beginning of the year I was optimistic we'd get 95,000. So that's the big oops there. On the spending side, we're right at 75%, right where we expect to be. Capital outlay, you see that we're over 120%. That's a coding mistake. There was some staff computers that were bought out of general fund that should have been used for permanent improvement fund. That'll be reversed out. So next month that number will look more right on. So that was just I about flipped my lid when I saw that and realized it was just a coding error. And the last thing I'll show you on this, scrolling down, is these are our federal and state dollars. We are spending them. You'll see a couple things here. One thing I want to point out is this ESSER line, because I'm going to talk a little bit more about ESSER. We say our cash balance is negative. And this holds true for ESSER. This is ESSER 1. So this is the one we got 9 months ago. ESSER 2 and 3 are yet to come. And when people say they're giving us money, they're not giving us money. It's all reimbursable. So you spend it, then you ask for it. Okay? And so so every month I do project cash requests. Say, hey, I want some money. And I've been waiting since February on ESSER reimbursement. So it's one of those things, it's a timing thing. The state is having a hard time getting the money from the feds to get to the schools. I just want to point that out, that people, we're going to see some larger numbers here, but just recognize they're not writing us a check. Yeah, it's money that we're going to have to spend, but it's not going to sit in our bank account. The other thing I want to point out, student wellness, this cash balance. We had planned, it's fairly significant, but we had planned, when we originally went into this, is not spend it all at once because we didn't know if it was going to continue, right? Because we're paying for our guidance staff out of this, for example, and we added a guidance counselor. So it looks like it's going to continue. If it continues, we're in good shape to be able to continue to do a lot of student wellness stuff out of wellness dollars. This is the one area where I say it's helping our general fund. Our general fund would be worse if it wasn't for the student wellness dollars. There is some talk if House Bill 1 passes, student wellness will go away, which hurts us because we don't see any additional funding from House Bill 1. So we're one of those districts that, well, we want the formula. We don't want that formula because it doesn't help us. But how do you find something that's going to help 612 school districts all the same? It doesn't. But we're still spending our federal grants. Again, for me, I would say one of the joys of being here is having Holly and Julie on top of their grants, where I can do my thing. I don't have to play police officer and do all those things or urge them to spend it. They're on top of it, and that's really nice to see. It's not like that everywhere. I can tell you that right now. So they're making the most of our money. I think Holly could use a lot more, to tell you the truth, but
More help?
yeah. So that's where we are. We're right on track. I sent you a comparison. I'm working on the 5-year forecast, but it seems like it's changing daily. I will say in the 5-year forecast, I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to transfer money at the end of the year. Food service is not going to get there. We'll probably have to transfer money to athletics to balance their books. Now, there are some people who are trying to use ESSER funds for that. I don't think we're going to have any ESSER funds to be able to do that with. If we do, I'll do that on ESSER funds, and that would save some general fund stuff. But still kind of wait and see. So I want to get the 5-year forecast out in that form because I don't want you to be surprised next month when I do the presentation. But it's going to change some, but it's, like I said, it's changing almost every day. So I kind of have to sit and. So when you see it, you'll see it. But it should be in that same ballpark. We're going to be better than we thought we were in November.
Okay.
Which is kind of my thing. ESSER I've already mentioned. Again, ESSER 1 we're spending, that was 193,000 or so. ESSER 2 is about 715,000. We've got a good budget for that. We can't spend that because it's not approved yet, but until this one's spent first, you spend this, you spend the next one. A lot of that money in ESSER 2 will be used for HVA. Keep that going, but it's going to be probably a new format that's coming, I assume, under news, and a lot in technology. We've got lots and lots of technology needs, and we're going to be able to save some permanent improvement money by using it for technology, including, for example, we're going to do something here to make this more conducive for remote learning as well as remote meetings and stuff like that. Not a big portion of it, but just little things. And then things like so upgrades in food service to help with social distancing and better food delivery and that kind of stuff. So that's 715,000. We'll have 2 years to spend that. And then the next one, which you're seeing in the paper, we don't know exactly what that is going to be yet. They're telling us somewhere between 1.15 and 1.7 million. Hopefully at the end of the month we'll know what that is. We can't spend that until we spend the second round. And again, I want to emphasize it's good money. We're happy to use it, but I can't pay our salaries out of it, right? And that's the big deal. We're going to move as much stuff as we can to ESSER, and it may help around the fringes on the general fund, but it doesn't resolve our issue. Right. And even if it did, it's a one-time thing. Once it's gone, it's gone. And it's amazing. It's a fairly narrow scope, and we're doing all we can to spend it as wisely as we can, but to get things we need, upgrades like the high school cafeteria so we can have big remote meetings and stuff in there and that kind of stuff. I talked about five, okay, last thing, and this is really the topic, least look forward to talking to. Denny has sent out last week on our behalf, we've been talking about for some time, you know, and I've been talking about the levy doesn't pass, what's the next phase? What are we gonna do? And so we talk about for 2000, we're in a good cash situation for next year, but we need to start whittling away at those cost reductions, okay? Even just a, you know, and start making statements. So we laid out a few modest items. They send a message and they're stepping in the right direction. If the levy doesn't pass on the 4th, next meeting, we're gonna ask you to address these formally, okay? So we want to give you a heads up and have some good talking about it. So let me just run, do you have copies, I don't have copies of it in front of them?
You have a.
I have. So pay to participate, we know what a terrible subject that is. Half the schools in our league have pay to participate. We've surveyed them, come up with what we think is a very modest pay to participate. And you can see those numbers there. Again, it doesn't cover our costs, but it's a step in the direction that help. And again, I know it's gonna be, and I don't know if we decided on a max, did we, Denny? We got
It's a one time.
one time, but we're talking maybe a max per family, but we haven't got to that. We're trying to keep it very simple,
One time
straightforward,
per year per student.
right? So if I'm a high school athlete, I paid $125, it covers me for everything else.
For every sport you want to play as a
Every-
high school athlete.
Right, or if it includes academic clubs, so that we're not going back and for each little thing. It's really kind of help us a little bit here. Oh, did I skip one? Oh, yeah, well, we already decided we're gonna absorb the language arts position, retiring. That's nice to be able to do that through attrition. Number 3, and we've got details coming on this one, because it's gonna be, I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of questions on it, but we're looking at, we'll go to not state minimums, but eliminating transportation for the high school. We're still gonna do transportation, make some adjustments there. If I'm correct, we're not going door to door, we'll set up bus stops. And so that right now it looks like we can eliminate a route by doing that. That means there's gonna be some alterations in building times. So essentially the buses will go out, drop the students off one time. So it's not out and back in. It's whatever that route ends up being, or you drop them in. So there's some more coordination of building times and things. It's, and as you can see there, the stops can be up to a half mile from the residence. I don't think we worked all that out yet, but Denise is modeling all that. And we'll be able to present those kind of details at the next meeting for you. So we ask you to approve that, if we ask you to approve that you'll have
This is
more details.
contingent if the unmaking.
Yeah. And just recognize that this is, we're not quite at minimums yet, but we're working there. The other thing we're gonna do is we're leading by example. Levy doesn't pass, we're gonna increase the employee contribution of administrator for our health insurance. It's a modest, it doesn't obviously shift anything, but the leadership's gonna take the first plunge. And of course, we'll be negotiating those things with the bargaining units as we move ahead. It's kind of hard to ask the bargaining units to do something if we haven't done it first. Not a huge return, but it's a message sender. And then we got some other retirements that will generate some savings going down the road. So these are very modest, but they're things that they'll be very visible in the community. And like I said, we want to kind of throw it out there now so you have a month to chew on it or ask questions, and we can talk about it. And there's some details coming. And I'll let you ask questions here. I'll shut up here in just a second. My vision, and Danny and I talked about it, I don't know if we're in complete agreement yet, but this is for next school year. Come August, I'm gonna want to have a conversation with the board, probably a board work session, start talking about what happens in November or after November. Not for next school year, for the following school year. Because what'll happen is the levy doesn't pass in November, we lose a whole year, right? So then we have to make bigger cuts for school year 23. And then we're talking about big dollar items, not tweaks. We're talking about stuff that really impacts what this district looks like. And we want to start the conversation in August because it's not a threat, but everyone needs to be aware of the kind of things that are on the table. And that's one of the things we want to be upfront, transparent about. We didn't want to, in this campaign, be threatening it anyway. But at some point in time, it starts getting, it gets to the point is we're not threatening, we're just going to have to do something. So does that make sense? Oh, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. So these are modest, but we'll be, let's just have it pass on the floor, don't have to worry about it, and throw us away. Or if it doesn't, we'll come back next time.
I have a question, and maybe this is more to Mr. Carter, but what will English class look like if you absorb Mrs. Abers? Will that increase the classes? How will that look for the English language department?
No, so currently each one of the four that we have three sections of 2 periods. So we've determined that Sherry Rowan will stay primarily 8th. Shannon Smith will be primarily 7th, and Amy Brown is gonna take a split between the two. And then we're also looking at some schedule changes overall, instead of going periods, going blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something that we weren't able to do before when we had 4 language arts, because what would happen is I have a period of them, a class, and then Denny would have it for a period, and it just makes it difficult. And the language arts teachers have been against that for a long time, so it's gonna open up some different opportunities to look at block scheduling, so we get more instructional time, less transition.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but Amy, it was gonna be her, but she also agreed, she brought it up and said that it just makes sense for me to do it. So it's around the packet.
Good. So it seems like it's a positive solution.
Well,
Right now.
it's sad
Right now.
To lose one, but yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
obviously, yes,
Yeah,
but
it is.
the solution seems to be a positive
Yeah.
solution. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, you gotta look at enrollment requirement is what? We got 140 students.
We got like 300.
Okay, he's got 300 students.
We got like, if you count the HBA kids, and we hope that they all return next year, we'll have around 165.
Okay, that's good.
Where in years past, we've been about 220,
Mm.
240.
These are small.
And that also obviously gives you hint on things down the road that we have to look at.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Scott?
Yeah, a couple. So, which one should I start? Oh, you had a slide back there that showed tuition. You've collected about 82% so far. Is that a timing thing, or do you get 100%, or people pay monthly? Why are we?
Well, that tuition, most of that is actually open enrollment or our students that are open enrolled in, including significant students that are special needs where we're getting reimbursed from other districts. So if a student costs us extra money, we charge at other districts. That's part of that. The preschool's in there, Tigers Kids Club, but the vast majority of that is open enrollment.
So you will collect the rest of it, or get close to that 100%?
Oh, yeah.
You're
yeah,
down close to 200,000. That's significant.
We should be close. We should be close.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not adjusted that number. Open enrollment, it's one of those things that's been hard to track. It's fluctuated more. Our reimbursement, all of a sudden I'm happy, I'm not happy, I'm happy, I'm not happy. And, because community schools, in and out,
Yeah.
it's just been so unstable. That's why the HBA is very important to stabilize that. But, kids going to St. Peter's, because St. Peter's was in session, we were not, or at least not in person. And those kind of things, those numbers were up and down. So if the students come back, I think the number will get better. I am watching that though.
Any other questions, discussion?
I appreciate the attention. Please read if you haven't read it, read over that document. Please sit down with us if you got questions. There's obviously details you probably have in your mind, what if, just, let us know. And like I said, the transportation piece is a lot of planning, and Denise is really modeling the heck out of it. And, it's that software we bought is paying for some of these kinds of decisions.
Are we ready to move on then to number 9, treasurer recommendations, action items?
All right, so item A is our monthly financial statements as close of business of March 31st. And you have those. Again, if you have any questions, donations you see there as presented. We had, item C is a grant. It's a, item C is the bus purchase program grant. We had gotten that allocation, but I realized we'd never formally accepted it or created that account code. So that just, you're accepting that money and allow us to spend it for the bus purchase program. We'll talk about that in a later item. Item D are 3 ESC contracts. The Northport Service Agreement, that's to handle our gifted and special need, our MD units. And then we have another agreement with them on some development disabilities program. And then Lorraine County ESC, that's for speech services, right, Holly? That's speech services that North Point cannot provide. By the way, those contracts, they're about over $1.5 million. Those are where all of our, most of our special education money is going. Item D, I put this separately because of the size and the nature of this. This is a $50,000 anonymous donation to upgrade the lighting, and then any money left over from that can be used to supplement the cost of painting it here on high school gymnasium. Just so you know, I did confirm with legal counsel to make sure I could present this anonymously to you. And we have the check, it's in the bank, and we redacted the information, we have record of it, but if anyone asks for it, they're not gonna tell who it's from. And that's per the request of the donor. And that's again, I checked legally to make sure that we were okay with that on that. And that's it.
Okay.
Items A through E.
Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is there a way for us to send some type of thank you to that anonymous donor? Even if it's a simple card or something, just acknowledge them, from the,
I think that's very nice.
or something.
Wonderful. Really appreciate it. I know we give them a letter for IRS purposes, but if we want to sign a card, a thank
Okay.
you card or something.
I will purchase a card
Great.
and I will bring it to our next board meeting,
Awesome.
and we can have everyone sign it who'd like to.
Appreciate it.
And if all goes to plan, by July 1st, you walk in the Huron High School Gymnasium with freshly painted, brand new lighting and a refinished floor.
That's awesome.
It's gonna look like a brand new building. And we just yesterday, we awarded the lighting portion of it, so. Okay. And by the way, the lighting also saves us money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in the long run.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about lighting in the fall, because that's another thing we need to do for the rest of the district, so.
All right. Randy?
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Slocum,
Yes.
Mrs. Mast.
Yes. All right, we will move on to superintendent recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Item 10, superintendent recommendations. The list here will be personnel related under item 10. Item 10A, recommending that you, the board, approve the recall of Mr. Tim Fleck to serve as a Woodlands Intermediate classroom aide. We're recalling Mr. Fleck because we had a student return from HVA. Item 10B, similar situation. This is a recall from the reduction in force list. Mrs. Charlotte Johnson will assume the Woodlands Library Tech 15-hour position. Just so you know, we've taken a full-time library tech and split it into 2 part-time positions, so we get more coverage, less hours, and there's a slight savings to that. So I'll ask for your approval of 10B. Item 10C, asking you to accept the retirement for Mrs. Susan Millhouse, and that is effective April 1 of 2022. Mrs. Millhouse has served multiple years as a bus driver, most recently with our special needs bus, and she's always done a nice job. Item 10D, Ask for your approval for Diane Chevalier to serve as an educational aid substitute. This is as needed. Item 10E, recommend the approval of Nick Wells for a substitute bus driver, maintenance, or custodian. And again, that will be as needed. Item 10F, asking your approval. Mrs. Carolyn Oakes, she will return, or she actually has returned from the recall list to serve as the assistant cook at Woodlands. And my apologies, she should have been on the last board meeting, hence why it was effective February 25th. So again, my apologies for that. And that's because of the increased meal participation in the meal program, student participation. Item 10G, recommend the approval of the list of supplementals per Mr. Camella. We have a little bit of winter and spring sports. And those are contractual positions. Item 10H, asking for your approval for Cynthia Fisk. She will serve as a substitute bus driver. This will be pending her certification for that role, and that will be as needed. Item 10I, asking for your approval, Mrs. Erin Smith. She will, next school year, transition to the Woodlands Intermediate School Counseling position. This is a voluntary placement change. We have recently posted the to be vacant high school position. Again, that's for next year, but we posted it internally per contract, and we're going to be posting it externally as well. So I would ask for the board's approval of items 10A through I as presented.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No? Okay. Randy?
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Slocum?
Yes.
Mrs. Mast?
Yes. All right, we are now to our revised Huron City School Board policies.
Okay, thank you for approving item 10. Item 11, recommend the board approve the list of policies. Mr. Slocum, it seems like we met months ago for this group, but we had so much fun with this.
Really wasn't that long
This
ago.
session, right?
Yeah.
We have, I think, 4, 5, 6 policies. The majority of these, we've had policies, but they are being revised per OSBA recommendation because of changes in state statute or federal regulations. Policies of organizational meeting, that is a new policy, and that policy just outlines what we already do. We just never had policy that outlined what we have. The professional hiring policy, that was last revised in 2007, and there was a couple of language changes. They've gone from certified, licensed, or registered, so they've added some terminology. No substantial changes to the intent of the policy. Preschool program, this is just meeting the House Bill 210, which was passed in 2021. Now, all prospective employees in preschool have to have a TB test on record and file. Item, or the next policy, personnel policies. This, again, we had policy in 2007, and this just outlines employees that are properly credentialed and staff, that we adhere to that we engage staff and their input in decision-making. We provide staff development opportunities, and we also develop an evaluation process for faculty and staff, which really is mandated, so you don't need policy to tell you that. Mr. Slocum, am I missing anything in policy that we talked about?
Nope, you covered it well.
And then the group is recommending the policies as presented for board approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Randy?
Mrs. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Slocum?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mast?
Yes. Okay,
Thank you.
and bus purchase?
Do you want me to cover that?
Yeah, go ahead, Randy, that one.
So, because of our financial thing, I want to spend a little more time in the explanation. I know we would. We were out of cycle on our bus purchases. We should have purchased one last year. We did not. With our fleet, how many miles now, Denise, do we have?
Almost 2 million miles.
Okay, and so we're looking at taking a 2001 diesel out of service, replace it with the new gasoline, which reduces the maintenance costs. And, timing on this is, we have the $16,500 approximately from the state to put towards it, and it has to be spent this year. And there was $53,000 already set aside that's been sitting there to do that, and the rest will come out of general fund. So I think I said not to exceed 90,000. It's actually like 80, almost 88,000 for the bus, but I just, in case something blipped there, I didn't want it to come back to you. The other thing is, if we wait, we know we're being told bus prices are going up at least 5%. So we say, we're actually working on last year's pricing. As we wait for next year's pricing, we'll have to pay more. So the timing stinks from a perception standpoint of budgeting, but we have to do it. We have to have safe buses out there, and this will also provide some savings. Obviously, it doesn't pay for itself, but it's something we need to do.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? So Randy, you said you're taking a 2001 bus?
Yeah.
And converting it from diesel to gasoline?
We're taking that one out. It's a diesel bus.
Okay,
This 2021 bus will be a gasoline bus.
Okay.
So we're replacing the diesel with gasoline.
okay,
And just as a heads up, I can't remember, changing the oil on a gasoline bus is like changing oil in your car.
oh, okay,
Changing the oil on a diesel bus is like 28 quarts or something like that. I mean, you're talking about 4 to 5, 6 times the amount
Sure.
of oil. And
Okay.
and plus they burn dirtier.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Great.
And so are we trading the bus in?
What's that?
Are we trading the bus
We
in?
will sell it in public auction. I think what we got last time, like $4,500 or something like that for the bus.
That's
Great.
good.
all right,
It doesn't
Better
pay
than
for
a
it,
kick
but
in the pants.
it's better than nothing,
Fair enough.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, go ahead with the vote, with the, roll.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Slocum,
Yes.
Mrs. Max.
Yes. Okay, board committee reports. Anyone have anything to share?
No, because EHOPE's actually tomorrow since we moved up. We got here and before EHOPE, so I don't have anything to share this month.
Okay,
The only thing I have safety wise is I did meet with Denise Dilsky and with Al about some preliminary discussions for lighting and bike racks at the stadium. And the majority of that's just been personal experiences and me and some other people that, particularly after football games or during football games, the bikes are all over the place, not at the fault. I'm not blaming any of the kids. And that area is not lit. When you come out after a game,
Under the trees there.
So my question and my idea was it looked like somebody might get hurt. And that meeting with Al, with his suggestion, it looked like we have a good area by the fence to the west of the entrance to put several bike racks, which I told him I would either support or get money, try to find some money for it. So I wasn't suggesting that we all just buy bike racks to do that, but so he was gonna look into, and I have not heard from him, but I've been out of town, so he was gonna get a price for concrete and asphalt. And then he had an idea for the design of the bike racks. I showed him what I had found. And so I was just real happy that Mrs. Zilsky, was very positive when I brought it up, and that, hopefully, I'm hoping that before the fall, we can have that there.
That'd be good.
all right. Great. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share as far as committee meetings? Okay. Any new business to come before the board this evening? Okay. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, May 18th at 6 PM. I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second,
Randy?
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
yes.
Mr. Slocum.
Yeah.
Mrs. Max.
Yes. All right. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Jody.
Yep, you're welcome.
Did a wonderful job.
Honing my old skills here.
Jody did a nice job.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Some things you just don't forget. Do you need my signature on any of these? Okay,
If you've got any questions, let me know.
okay.
On the ones on the right, Jody, they all need to be
sorry.
signed.
Okay.
And then the left, I got the tab.
Okay.
So. You are the president of record tonight.
Is this
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me. It is not.
Yes, this is something else. Oh, Leslie Murray.
Go down.